In June 2014, a 28-year-old German named Lars Mittank arrived in Varna, Bulgaria, with a group of friends. They were there for beaches, cheap drinks, and nightlife. Lars was quiet, calm, the kind of man who never caused trouble. But one night changed everything. At a local bar, he got into an argument, maybe over football, maybe over something else. It ended with a ruptured eardrum. Doctors told him he couldn't fly. His friends offered to stay, but Lars insisted they leave. He said he'd be fine. He just needed rest. Alone in Bulgaria, Lars checked in to a cheap hotel near the airport. That's when things began to twist into a nightmare. He called his mother, terrified, whispering that men were following him. He asked her to cancel his credit cards. He texted her late one night, "What are the side effects of this antibiotic?" The hotel staff later said he paced constantly, checked the windows, and muttered that he was being watched. Then, on July 8th, the morning of his flight home, Lars walked into Varna Airport. At first calm, then visibly nervous. Security footage shows him backing away from a staff member, clutching his head, and suddenly sprinting. He bursts through the doors and runs across the parking lot, leaving behind his passport, phone, wallet, everything. He disappears into the trees. He was never seen again. Some say psychotic break. Others say pursuit. His mother swears he wasn't mentally ill, that he was running from something real. The last image of him, barefoot, wide-eyed, fleeing into the forest, has haunted millions, and no one knows what made him run. (1912) Louisiana. A 4-year-old boy, Bobby Dunbar, vanishes during a family fishing trip. Search parties drag the lake, scour the woods, even set off dynamite underwater. Nothing. 8 months later, hope returns. A child matching Bobby's description is found with a traveling handyman, William Walters. Walters claims the boy is Bruce Anderson, the son of a woman named Julia Anderson. But the Dunbars insist this is Bobby. At their reunion, the mother hesitates, unsure, yet after a few days she declares, "He's my boy." The headlines celebrate, "Bobby Dunbar found alive." Walters goes to prison. Julia Anderson pleads that it's her son. She has no lawyer, no money, and she loses him forever. Decades pass. Then, in the early 2000s, Bobby's descendants agree to DNA testing. The result destroys a century of belief. The boy raised as Bobby Dunbar was not a Dunbar at all. He was Bruce Anderson. Julia Anderson had told the truth. The real Bobby Dunbar was never found. One family built on a lie. Another mother left childless. And the mystery still unsolved. (1928) Los Angeles. 9-year-old Walter Collins leaves home to see a movie. He never comes back. His mother, Christine Collins, searches endlessly. Flyers, interviews, public pleas. Months later, the LAPD claims success. They've found her son. But when the boy steps off the train, Christine whispers, "That's not my child." The police insist she's wrong. Under pressure, they tell her to take him home for a trial. 3 weeks later, she returns, furious. "This is not my son." Their response? They commit her to a psychiatric ward. The boy finally admits he isn't Walter Collins. He's Arthur Hutchins, a runaway seeking a free trip to Hollywood. At the same time, detectives uncover a nightmare on a chicken farm in Wineville. Young boys kidnapped and murdered by Gordon Northcott. Among them, possibly Walter. Northcott never confesses. Christine spends the rest of her life searching for the truth. She never finds it, and Los Angeles never apologizes. (2008), British Columbia. 24-year-old Kayla Reed tells her mother she's meeting a friend for coffee. She never arrives. Her phone dies within an hour. Search teams flood the woods. No struggle, no clothing, no clues. Kayla is gone. Almost a year later, in the early morning of July 5, 2009, she walks into a hospital 200 meters from where she vanished, barefoot, sunburned, wearing clothes that aren't hers. She won't speak, only writes her name. When her parents arrive, she smiles faintly but doesn't embrace them. Asked where she's been, she said, "I was in the dark. I was safe, but it wasn't me." Tests show no injuries, no drugs, no trauma. After a week, she's discharged. Before leaving, she looks at a nurse and whispers, "Don't go into the woods alone. They find you there." She deletes her accounts, moves away, and never speaks again. No one knows what happened in those 11 months, or who they were. 2017, Santa Rosa, California. 15-year-old Connor Hastings vanishes walking home from school. His backpack turns up behind a dumpster. His phone, gone. His scent trail ends abruptly at the edge of the woods. Friends say he'd been paranoid. He kept asking about the man in the red jacket. 5 months later, a 911 call comes from a payphone 60 miles away. A boy sits motionless on a bench outside a library. It's Connor. He's thinner, filthy, and silent, clutching a blank spiral notebook. When he finally speaks, he says softly, "They kept me somewhere cold. No clocks. How did you escape?" "They let me go. I think I passed their test." On the final page of the notebook, 4 words are written in shaky pen. "I was not alone." No suspects, no answers. Connor changed his name and vanished from the spotlight, but the terror never left his eyes. February 9th, 2004, 21-year-old Maura Murray, a nursing student, crashes her car on a snowy road in New Hampshire. Earlier that day, she emailed professors about a death in the family, a lie. She emptied her bank account, packed her car, and drove north toward the mountains. At 7:27 p.m., a neighbor reports a crash outside her home. A black Saturn in a snowbank, airbags deployed, wine spilled inside. The driver, gone. A bus driver had stopped minutes earlier. She told him she was fine. He drove off to call police. By the time they arrived, nothing but tire tracks and silence. Dogs track her scent 100 yards up the road, and then it stops. No footprints, no body, no trace. 18 years later, Maura's case is still dissected by armchair detectives. Some say she ran away, others believe she was taken, but whoever did it, if anyone did, never made a single mistake. Nome, Alaska, a town buried in snow and silence. People disappear here often, but none like Rick Hills. Rick, 37, an electrician, dependable, solitary, familiar with the wild. When he misses work, a coworker drives to his cabin. His truck is outside, coffee pot full, no footprints leading in or out. Inside, everything is neat, bed made, lights off, no coat missing,